Hey guys, my name is Andre, aka Mr. Vega, and today I have a video to you with the beautiful Blue Wizard mod. It's a mod for Battlefield Middle-earth 1, and we're gonna be playing as the Elven faction, and we're gonna be playing against it's just a good habit you have. Like, it's a really good habit you have. So just remember, if you there's a structure that you're gonna lose and you know you're gonna lose, don't just lose it. Just go there, delete it, and that's it. So now I went for my barracks.
Keep your wits sharp.
And that's after I have 6 marlon trees already, so I should be getting quite a lot of resources. I also go for a well, because I know that they will be attacking me like pretty soon, and then I'll have to survive, and then I'll be fighting around the well, which will keep respawning my units like as they die. So it's really hard to kill units unless you have something that can delete them right away, like if they come with cavalry or anything like that. And here on the Blue Wizard mod, it's quite a bit harder to defend than just in the regular game of the version, just because the hard armies, they spawn heroes way sooner than on the regular game or the regular patches. Not only that, there are extra heroes on this version as well, so it can be a little bit tricky. That's actually the hardest part, is just to defend against the heroes. The units themselves, once you have just enough units, you can just spam your units and just have the towers. That's plenty. The problem is when they bring heroes, like really strong heroes. That's when it gets really hard. Once you can defend against those, you're in a good spot. So that's one of the reasons I try to get Haldir as quickly as possible as well, because his arrow helps a lot with doing damage to the heroes. And then once he unlocks his leadership, that's also another big bonus. So right now, I kind of know that they're going to attack me pretty soon, so I'm going to have my archers behind the well, and then my swordsmen in front of it, and then I'm also trying to keep them close to the statue over there, just so they get a little bit extra XP and extra damage. On this version of the game, leadership and statues and anything that offers any sort of leadership, that includes like darkness, Witch King leadership, statue leaderships, hero leaderships, or anything like that, they're not as powerful. Even war chants and things like that are not as powerful as in the regular game. Which I think is a good thing, because in the regular game, you can stack leadership. It's just way too much. Like, you can have a single unit of some of the battalions be stronger than a hero if you have enough leadership, which is kind of silly. And when you're playing with elves in this mod, you normally, when you're trying to do what I'm trying to do, which is play against 7 other hard armies, you normally want to try to go for the barracks first and not the Gondor barracks or whatever that one's called. It's just because it takes longer for you to build that. It takes longer for you to build the units, and they're all more expensive. And normally you'll not have enough time to build that barracks and those units before they start. You see how they're swarming me? So by that time, I probably would only have 2 units on the floor if I build those barracks. So now I have three swordsmen plus 2 archers, which helps me quite a bit. Plus extra resources, so I have extra towers up as well. And even it delays your hero time as well, so I might not have a halter at this point either. So.
Stay focused, Elves.
And then the two things that you need quickly in the beginning is War Chant to help those guys. You use it on the swordsman normally, it will benefit more, and then Starlight, which is basically, it's kind of like Cloud Break, so it will, but it doesn't, it's basically Cloud Break for the elves, so it will stun the enemies. So when they have like this form of enemies and you unlock Cloud Break, or a Starlight in this case, it helps a lot. You'll see now, I think I'm gonna use it here. And that's what I'm saying. You see how they have eagles already? The eagle costs for like 5.5k, but they already have it somehow. I think the hard units, they start with 10k resources or something like that. That's kind of what I think. Either that or heroes are free for them. But just using Starlight, it gives you like a few 5-10 seconds where you can just breathe for a little while. And then you can focus all your attention on whatever you need to. In my case, just dealing with the eagles. And like here, I'm not using Haldir properly. Basically what I'm trying to do is less hit the units so he gets the experience, the eagles, but I didn't do that. I missed it by a little bit. But that's kind of what if you can, that's kind of what you should try to do. All you is use like the arrow shots to less hit any heroes if you can.
We elves will help fight against Sauron. Hurry, elves of the world! Have your weapons ready, elves. Be watchful for the enemy. Stay focused, elves. Let them not rest.
Alliance once existed between elves and men.
Be watchful for the enemy.
So basically the way this match works, not necessarily against Gondor, but if you're going against 7 hard armies, you just turtle inside your base until you get enough power points to actually start pushing out. In some cases you'll see that you'll be able to defeat the whole enemy, like a whole enemy base with just power points, which is kind of what you want to try to do.
Let them not rest. Retain your balance. We elves will help fight against Sauron. Hurry, elves of the woods. Be watchful for the enemy.
Here I'm creating Galadrim, not necessarily because they are super strong or anything like that. It's hard for me to test how strong a unit is when I can't do like PvP matches against other players. So actually that's something that I'm gonna leave down below in the comments. Even if you guys ever want to play a match of PvP so we can test some stuff out with this mod, I would love to do that. Because most of the time I just spend my time playing games like this. So I'm doing the Galadrim honestly just because they're my favorite units in the whole game. That's no other reason. I don't even know if they're that good or not. But like they're not horrible, that's for sure. But I don't know how good they actually are, how efficient they are. But I just love them. I just think they're super cool. They've always been my favorite unit since. It's the same with the Elven Warriors in the regular game. It's a shame that they're not so good in that game. Like their range is not the best. Their AI is really clunky. Like it's really hard to get them to shoot sometimes, and they don't shoot as fast as they should. In my opinion, they're elves, so they should be the best archer units in the game, but they're not, unfortunately, in the regular game. I mean, it would just make sense, right? But well, it's not the way they did it. And then I destroyed my barracks for 2 reasons. One, I have enough units on the floor now, but also my units, most of them, so the Galadrims are going to come from Haldir now. Once he reaches level 7, you can actually summon Galadrim through him. It's a long cooldown, but I don't expect to lose my units quick anyway, so I don't need the barracks anymore. So I just need the upgrades. So I destroyed my barracks, and then I do the armory, and then I buy all the upgrades, and then I deleted it again. And that's kind of what you try to do as well. Like the upgrades, you keep the upgrades once you buy them, so you don't need, once you bought the upgrades, that's it. Like just delete your armory and then put whatever other building you need in that scenario. More often than not, you're gonna need a farm, or you're gonna need an extra siege weapons, depending on the faction that you're using. You're gonna need just more units, so it just depends. But don't keep your armory, and don't build the armory right away until you actually have enough resources to buy the things in it. That's a waste of time as well. Like if you build it and then you buy one and you don't have enough for an upgrade, then you gotta wait. And then once that upgrade is done its research, Like you should be able to buy the next one right away, otherwise it's also just a waste of time. So try to be efficient, build the armory, have enough resources so you can like buy one, finish it, buy the other, finish it, buy the other, finish it, and delete it.
Keep your wits sharp. Stay focused, elves.
Also, I'm playing with the Elves currently, and then I'm gonna be doing a lot of these with this faction just because it is my favorite faction. I mean, generally speaking, it's my favorite theme faction because this faction was not in the game, obviously. But I just always loved the Elves, and I think this Elves is better represented than it is on BFME 2, which I don't really like the Elves there that much. They're still my favorite faction for sure, but not the biggest fan. I think this is a better interpretation and is a better idea of what they should be able to do. So I really love it. And this is my favorite mod of all mods, by the way. That includes Age of the Ring, a dying mod. I actually like the idea of both of those mods, a dying ring or a dying mod and Age of the Ring, but they're just too laggy for me. I can't stand it. Like as soon as you have, like even as the game starts, I don't even need units on the field. The game is already laggy. Not to say that this game is like perfect by any means, but it's a lot better. That's the main reason I like. I mean, it's not the main reason, but there's a lot of reasons why I like Battle for Middle-earth 1 way better than I like Battle for Middle-earth 2.
So loud.
That's just one of them. I also like how every faction has its own identity in this version of the game on Battle for Middle-earth 1, as opposed to Battle for Middle-earth 2, where every faction can do everything. Like every faction has cavalry, every faction has pikes, every faction has archers, every faction has everything, you know what I mean? I'm just not the biggest fan of that. I'd rather play this game where every faction has its own clear weaknesses and strengths, and then play around it.
Maintain your balance. With haste. Maintain your balance.
I like how factions are a little bit more limited in a way in this game. I just think it creates more character. It makes for more interesting games as well. That's why I love adding factions to this game so much.
Keep your wits sharp.
Because this mod, they made it really... Basically everything that... Like, if I were to change the game and kind of try to make it kind of how I would make it, this is probably what I would be doing, something like that. Probably not even as good, obviously. Like, this guy, whoever is designing this mod, is like, it's really amazing. Also, I'll leave a link in the description for this mod if you guys are interested in it. I really love it.
Be quick.
Like, I really love this mod. Because the original game I've played for so many hundreds of hours already since I was young, like, and I still enjoyed it obviously, but I do get sick of it, and this brings some fresh air to it, and some of the things that I always wanted to happen in the game, they actually made it happen, which makes me really happy. So I just have more fun playing this. So I'm trying to bring popularity to this mod, so if more people play this and maybe we have some tourneys with this mod or things like that, I think it would be nice, because I'm sure that this mod is not perfectly balanced yet or anything like that, but that's because not enough people played it online. If more people play this mod online, it would be easier for the creator to balance it around it, and then we could all help him out saying, hey, this is too strong, this is too weak, and things like that. Like, he still tests it. Like, I am on his Discord and I've talked to him before. I know he's still testing everything, but there's only so much you can do if you don't have enough matches with like enough skilled players playing it constantly, you know. Because one match you can only do so much, and then you have to be able to try different things, like quickly. So yeah, if you guys are interested in this, definitely give it a try, give this guy some support, because this mod is amazing. And he's still updating it, by the way. This is not a dead mod. Last update, I think it was a month or two ago. And he's still active on Discord. Like, if you go to his Discord, he normally answers everyone, so he seems to be like a super pretty chill guy, and actually still trying to improve the mod as best as he can. So if you guys actually enjoy this, so now you can see that what I'm doing here, like I'm not actually bringing my army here. I'm just turtling with my army, and now that I have enough powers, I use the big power point to break the door, and then I use the, what are they called? The Numenorian army, I think is what it's called, to go in, break the buildings, and the ants to do the same. This army is actually retardedly strong. Like, this Numenorian army, they're not necessarily, like, they're good against other units as well, that's for sure, but like, they're really good at destroying buildings and being really tanky. So you can, basically what I do is just completely ignore the other units of the enemy, and I just strictly go for the structures, and then I destroy it. Like, I don't know why they're just really strong when it comes to destroying buildings. So you can see that I could like completely get rid of that of one of the enemies just by turtling in, getting power points, and then going from there. So basically what I do now is like, my plan is like I reset, I get another castle, once I have enough power points I go for the next base, and basically I keep doing that until I finish the game. Later on I will be able to actually use my army to go and destroy them, because it gets easier to defend, but for now I still have to use power points to push. I can't like just leave the base and go push, otherwise they will destroy me. Or not necessarily they'll destroy me, but like they'll destroy one of the bases and it will get a little bit more annoying to micro everything. So if you're just like patient, it just makes it easier. But I guess it could be a personal challenge, like once you get good enough at doing 1v7s, you can just try to make it quicker and quicker to see how quickly you can finish all the opponents and all that. And a lot of the things in these matches, like because I'm still testing auto mod, I'm not trying to be 100% efficient in some of the things. You'll see that sometimes I just use things to just test it out and see like how strong is this, how strong is that, how strong is this hero and stuff like that. I don't necessarily trying to finish this as quickly as possible. Like I'm still using these matches to test the game and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes if you see me doing some weird stuff around the map, that's why. I'm just trying to test stuff out. Like for instance, right now I'm creating Aaron just because he's one of my favorite heroes, even though I don't think he's actually that good. Actually, I've always think that Aaron has never been properly done in any of the games or in any of the mods. For me, he should be made a little bit different, because they almost made him like a completely supportive unit with no power of himself in a way, in the sense that his attack animation is normally pretty slow. He doesn't do that much damage and he's not super tanky. If I were to make him like the way I want to make him, I would make him more like of a combat unit, as you can toss him in the middle of another army, tank a lot of hits, have like splash damage and things like that. But maybe not necessarily be as strong as supportive. Like for me, my support, the only support that he needs from me is like good leadership. I wouldn't even give him a bow, I don't think. I would give him another skill instead of changing it for a bow, I believe. I would rather have him moving. I would rather have Aaron as like kind of a different Aragorn, if you know what I mean. Toss him inside of the army and get him to destroy stuff, destroy buildings, attack really fast, move really fast. I wish he was kind of like that. I think it would be nicer than the way that he is right now, but oh well. That's just my opinion anyway. Doesn't mean that everyone agrees with me on that. I just think it would make him a little bit more interesting.
Our enemy has claimed these lands. That's the enemy there. Make ready!
It would seem you were meant to come to Rivendell.
Like here, look at the army that I have around him, hitting that guy, and that guy is still like kind of destroying me, and Aaron the more expensive champion than that one. I get that champion is more supposed to be focused on combat than Aaron is, but still. And I know that his ultimate ability is pretty. Oh, also by the way, if you guys don't know, like here he has the same ability, basically the same abilities as he has on Battle for Middle-earth 2, with the exception that he can use his bow and arrow. But his tornado is really strong, his leadership is pretty good, his heal is really good, but
The enemy has settled here already.
but yeah. So here is the same strategy. I use the big power to destroy the gate, and then I use the other units just to rush in and try to curse the other base. And you guys can let me know what you think as well. What do you think of the mod and what do you think of the heroes? Like, because currently I'm just doing these 1v7s, but if you guys have interested in this mod or in this kind of content, just let me know, and then I can test stuff more specifically, like how strong a hero is or anything like that. If there's anyone interested in helping me with that as well, that would be awesome, because I can't test it by myself, honestly. Like, it would have to be like a 2v2 match where we just get two factions, get all the heroes out, and then we can just go 1v1s with them to see how they perform and what they're good at, and then have heroes go against different armies, different units to see kind of what they're good at and what they're bad at. That would be. I would have a lot of fun doing that. I don't know if anyone else enjoys just having like 1v1 matches with the heroes. I know it's silly, it's unrealistic, but I just love it. I just love doing it. I think it's just so fun. And sometimes some heroes that you think are weak are not. Sometimes some heroes that you think are really strong really aren't. So it would be a good way of doing that as well. And I'm sure that would help the creator to balance stuff out as well. I'm sure. I'm sure he tested that himself already. I think he has people that he plays with, but. And here I failed to destroy the whole base. I wasn't paying that much attention. I don't think I macroed stuff inside that base that well, but at least that will delay them by quite a bit, and then once I'm ready again I can just go and destroy them. And this spell is different from some of the other spells in the games, the Numenor army. As you can see, they don't leave. You actually gain those units, but they also impact your command points. So I'm command point capped. Not only capped, I'm over currently. So they just stay there. And then here for this mod, Galadriel is one of the good heroes that you can summon. There are other ones, I believe. If you're playing Rohan, it's also Galadriel. But if you're playing as Gondor, you actually have Isildur, which is my least favorite of all the powerful heroes that they added to this mod. I just not a big fan of him at all. He's just like a stronger Aragorn. Maybe not even. Like his attack animation is actually pretty slow, but he has like some stupid one-shot potential with one of his abilities. But yeah. But you need Galadriel to deal with the Balrog if they ever summon the Balrog, or even with Sauron. If you're going against the evil factions, because in this mod, one of the factions, Noria, you can actually summon a Balrog as a hero, so he doesn't have a cooldown. You can actually level him up and destroy stuff. He's actually, in my opinion, he's a little bit broken. He's really strong. He can destroy he can literally destroy everything. Like if you 1v1 Sauron, he wins against Sauron. If you 1v1 Galadriel, he wins against Galadriel. If you 1v1 him against anything, he wins against anything. I mean, which I guess he's supposed to, because he's not a supportive hero like the other two are. But he will still destroy the base. He will still destroy the army. He can do quite a lot actually. But again, it's hard for me to say because I'm playing against AI, so he might seem stronger than what he actually is. Maybe if I played against players, he wouldn't be that strong. But I still think he actually is if he's properly used. As long as you micro him properly, he still should like crush everything. And here, so for the Elven powers, actually I haven't gone over them, but most of it I think you guys can understand what it does. It's pretty straightforward, but some of the icons might be a little bit weird for you guys. So the third spell that I have on the left from bottom to the top, it's Starlight, which is basically Cloud Break, but for the Elves. And then the Elves have actually kind of two Cloud Break effects. So two effects that can break darkness and rain, which is actually really good. It's probably a really good counter against evil faction spells, especially if you're playing duels. Like if you're playing 2v2s, having two spells that can deny both rain and darkness, it's really strong. So one of them is Starlight, which is basically Cloud Break. It's basically the same thing, but for the Elves. They get it a lot earlier, which I think it's really cool. And then the other spell that I have on the right, that it looks like very foggy and dusty, that also breaks darkness and rain. And basically, it makes your units invisible in the map for a little while. They move faster, and they have better range as well. If you're using a lot of archers, it's really good. And even if you're using ants or anything that has range or catapults or anything like that, it's a really strong spell. So that's what that does. The spell above that, which is like the blue sky, is basically the spell that I've been using to break the gates. It's just a really strong nuke spell in an area. It does a lot of damage to everything. Like it doesn't one-shot all buildings like it does to the gate, but it will not one-shot like level 3 buildings inside, as you will see now. And we will also will not one-shot all of the heroes. Some heroes will survive it. I guess most heroes will survive it actually, but there are a few heroes that you can one-shot, like very weak heroes like Elmer. I think Faramir would have died. Maybe not even. But still, it does a good damage to them anyway, but I'm not sure which ones. I think you can one-shot some of the weaker heroes, but Yeah, but it's best to use against units actually, because regular units will die to it like one shot. But I use it to break the gate because there's no other way for me to break the gate unless I build an endpoint close to the base. But and someone ends from this faction is different from Rohan. I don't know if you guys pay attention to that, but I only get 2 ends. I don't get 3 like as you do with Rohan. So, which I think is fair because I think overall the Elves faction is a stronger faction than the Rohan faction in general. So I think it's good that their end spell is not as strong as the Rohan faction. And then the 2 passes that I have. So the one on the far top left, that's I think it's called the Elven Gift. So basically it makes your hero stronger, 25% more damage, 300% more HP, which is really nice. I still think I would give the heroes a little bit more damage just because for the Elven faction you don't have because your heroes are mostly melee heroes that gotta go into the battlefield to actually do anything, which makes them not as effective. Because if you play this game, you know how easy it is to kill heroes that are immobile, like Faramir, like Boromir, or even Lurtz. The Lurtz has cripple abilities, and he actually moves pretty fast. But if you guys know, if you play in the games, like the melee heroes, they are really easy to die. Same with Legolas, even Gimli. Like they're not. You can't do much with them. In most PvP matches, they're not even summoned just because they don't do almost anything at all. Normally people only summon them like they're flash bolting or they don't have everything they need and have or to spend money anymore. Then you would do that, but other than that they're pretty weak. And it's the same with these heroes. Like Haldir is probably one of the most cost-effective heroes just because of his summon, his arrow, and then his leadership. And he's actually does like decent damage from range as well. So I would say from the Elven faction he's probably the best hero. The other heroes are actually not that good, with the exception of Galadriel, obviously. Like Erin is interesting. I like kind of the idea that they went with it, but she's like, even though her ability says they do something, they're not strong enough to actually do what you're supposed to do with her. Like she has kind of like a Starlight, not Starlight. What's the name of Easterly Light from Gandalf, but it's a lot weaker than his, obviously. But it's like I think it's a little bit too weak. Like you can't, like to heroes it does almost no damage. It's as its description is said it's supposed to be used against monsters, but even against monsters it doesn't do that much damage. So I'm not sure what the purpose of that ability it is anyway. But I would personally make it a little bit stronger. I would remove another one of her abilities. I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you guys here. If I don't remember if I use her that much, but like I like the concept that they did with her, but I just don't think she is. I think she would need some stuff to be gone and some stuff to be stronger to have her balanced properly. Erin, that is. But yeah, I still like the idea. I still like kind of what they tried to do with it. It's pretty interesting. Glorfindel for me is a little bit of a miss. Because he's also kind of like an Aragorn, but not really. And I really love Glorfindel. I think he's a really cool hero, but I just think they missed it a little bit on what he could do. For me, I mean, that's just how I see the Elven heroes are, right? It doesn't mean that everyone else has to see them the same, but for me, Glorfindel should be like a tanky, really strong, hard-hitting, fleeting hero that can go with an army and buff the army and stuff like that, which it actually tried to do this with him, but I would remove his well ability. He has ability. He can place it like a little well, basically the same well that you can build inside the base, but you can put it anywhere on the map and then it will heal your units. Which honestly is actually a really good idea, but I'd rather have that spell removed and then make just the other spell that he has in his spell book stronger. I think it would make him a little bit more interesting. But that's just my opinion. That's just kind of how I like to see the Elven units. It's just like strong, tanky, fast attacking, hard hitting. And some people say, oh, but that's too strong. I mean, not really, because most of them are melee and you gotta go to an army. And if you have to get to an army against another good player who has like 5 battalions of Rohirrim units with flame arrows, you know that you get deleted before you even get to them. So I mean, it is strong and it isn't at the same time. Here I misused that spell a little bit. I should have used it to destroy the catapults as well, and I didn't for some reason. I think I just misclicked it where I wanted to place the spell. And the spell is a little bit annoying because like you can't put it like on top of the walls. You kind of have to put it either inside or outside of it, and if you get too close to one side or the other side of the wall, you won't be able to use it. But still, I think I could still have destroyed the catapult if I placed it a little bit better. But it is what it is. So you can see now that my main base that I started the game with, like it's just there. I don't even go there anymore. So all I do now is just spam the other units, like the other AIs in the game with the spells that you get from the spell book, and just go from there. And then I use the heroes to push out. And the reason I say that I don't think some of the Elven heroes are as good as they should, because when I use them to push out, they're not that effective. Like even if I'm just using the Fellowship of the Rings, the 3 guys from Rohan, I feel like they were way more effective than these guys. I mean, and you gotta remember that Galadriel can also be purchased by Rohan now. So like if you say, oh yeah, but you have Galadriel, but yeah, so does Rohan. So that you gotta remove her from the equation and just compare the other heroes, and I don't think the other heroes are actually that good.
To destroy the people of Rohan.
Especially because, as I said, a lot of them are melee, and if you play this game enough, you know that melee units are not good units. Like if they have eagles, if they have Nazgul, catapults, monsters, they're not very good against those. So, and if they're gonna make them melee, then I would rather have them make them like actually be able to stand their ground a little bit and fight a little bit. Which currently, because here I'm playing against AI, right? So like you can see that most of my heroes have stayed alive for most of the time. But if you're playing against a good, like any good player, well, they would be gone without even doing anything at all. Again, like this is just me kind of saying from what I've tested and played so far, but it's without me playing against other players is really hard. I could be completely wrong. I'm saying, oh, they're not that strong, and then I go play against another player, and then I destroy them. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe they're not that bad, right? But for me, it's hard to say right now. It's just kind of the way it looks to me, and how I feel about it. Oh, by the way, Galadriel is one of the best heroes at killing heroes. That spell that I just used, that launches like a blue power ball thingy, Kamehameha, it's really strong. I think even if you use it against Sauron, I think you bring him down to like 20% HP or something like that. It's ridiculously strong against everything actually. You can use it against gates, you can use it against buildings. It just does a lot of damage. And here I don't even use her properly because for some reason I thought that so you see her, like that second spell that I just moused over called Projection, it's a teleport, which I thought you can only teleport her to places where you have line of sight and that she was somewhat close. But it turns out you can teleport her to, like, honestly anywhere in the map as you want to, and you don't need to have line of sight of it as well. You can literally just use it and you'll be fine. Here I will use her. See, that spell is just really strong, and it gets almost everything that is on the way as well. And this is just like a Wizard Blast, but Galadriel version. I think it has a wider area of effect, if I'm not mistaken, or a longer area of effect. But I actually don't think it's as strong as Gandalf's. Here is just me not paying attention and losing the base and everything like that, which doesn't really matter. Even if I lose the base, it doesn't really matter. And also when you're doing this 1v7s, like, the reason... Don't forget to buy the bases when you destroy them. It's not for like so much for your own purposes or anything. It's just a matter of denying for the other enemy. Because if you go around destroying bases and all of a sudden you go back and realize they purchase again, it's just annoying to go back and have to destroy them. So whenever you destroy a base, just try to have enough money to purchase the base right away when you get it. Which right now I will always have it because you can see my money. It's ridiculous. But in the big, like in one of the first 2 bases that you destroy, you gotta pay a little attention so that when you destroy, you actually have money for it. Otherwise, you might destroy it, and then right after you lose your army, and then you have to go retake it again, and they bought the base already, and then you have to redestroy it again, which is just annoying. So just try to keep that in mind. Whenever you're destroying those bases, try to have enough money to buy the base right away. Just makes it easier.
The mirror.
Like here I was just kind of getting annoyed, I was just pushing stupidly. Like I could have destroyed this base as well if I played it a little bit better. I just didn't pay a lot of attention when I was pushing this thing. I was trying to think of other things that I could do as well at the moment, but oh, and then continue on the spells. So you have an Elven Woods, that's pretty standard. Still does the same thing as it does in the original game. It just gives you a little bit less armor. Instead of 40%, it's 30%. And then the spell above that is a War Chant. And War Chants in these games are nerfed, so they're not as powerful. I believe they give 30 and 25, or 25% damage and an armor instead of 50-50 as it does in the original game. And same with leaderships. Leaderships are nerfed here. They don't do 50-50 or 60% damage or 50% armor. They do 25, 20, 30, and things like that. They're nerfed as well. So leadership stacking is not as effective. And it's the same with darkness. It doesn't give you as much armor and damage as it does here. It gives you a little bit less, which I think is a good thing, because I think leadership stacking on the first game is the way it is. It's too strong. Just too strong. I think leadership should be strong and it should be a thing of the game, but it just shouldn't be that oppressive. Like if you have like Isengard Mortar in one team and they have like full darkness, Witch King, Lurtz, Saruman, leadership is just so retarded, man.
So loud.
Like, I think you can have one troll destroy everything with all the plus the armor trolls that I forgot. It's just so stupid, man. Like the unit literally has like 400 extra damage, 400 extra armor. So this way, leadership is a little bit more in check.
Or to fall into darkness. You have your own choice to make.
Another way of balancing the leaderships would be, instead of having so many leaderships and so many plus damage armor bonuses in the game, it could be, you could just have less of them and have them be more meaningful. So you could have like either, I don't know, like Gondor or Isengard or whatever, have like a strong leadership with Lurtz, a strong leadership with Saruman, and then nothing else. And then but they would be stronger, I guess. That would be another way of doing it. If whoever is like doing these mods wants to do it a little bit differently, that would be another way of doing it. Just instead of having them stack and be weak, you could have them, you can have less of them but have them be stronger. Which could be actually harder to balance in some situations, but it would just be another way of doing it.
This task was appointed to you.
Also, I think whenever you're designing like one of these heroes, I think that one of the main things that you should have in mind, aside from the lore obviously, would be like, why am I creating a hero? Like, why is this hero in the game? What's his purpose? Because is he there just to, like, you know, have another hero to purchase with no purpose? Because I think it would be more interesting if you created, okay, like this hero is going to be good at doing this. Like, I don't know, this hero is good at destroying structures but sucks at everything else. Or this hero is really good at destroying monsters, but you know what I mean? Or this good is like a supportive unit or things like that. And have like better purpose for units, I would say. Like, well, okay, we're designing this hero is gonna fulfill this role. Instead of just having it be like a random role or anything like that. Here I tried to destroy the gate, but that's how I learned, like, if you have, because she actually launches two like Kamehamehas when you press that thing. But you can see that only one of them hit the door. So, but if you actually put her right in front of the door, both things are gonna hit the door and destroy it right away. Actually, not right away. I think the door's still gonna be like 5 or 10%, and then you can just wizard blast the door, and then that will be it.
Destroy.
Other than that, on this matchup, I wasn't even be able to show you guys all of the units that the Elves can do. Like, there's another barracks that you can do with it, where you actually have different units, and you actually have cavalry as well. And those horses are actually really good. I actually really love those horses.
Try to take the ring.
So probably in the, like, again, if you guys like this kind of videos and you like me doing this kind of things, like I can try to do the same thing, but instead of using the regular barracks, I can try to make it so I can use the other barracks to survive and then go from there. Or I can just build it later as well, because the horses do help a lot. It's a lot of, the horses are really strong. And the other units are really strong as well from the Elven barracks.
Ready, elves? Ready your swords.
Alliance once existed between elves.
Also, I just loved how he made the Elven base. I think it's just so cool. It's just such a good idea, and the way he organized everything, and the units that he created, and all the buildings and structures. They're all really nice, in my opinion. I mean, as you can see, I'm pretty sure you guys realize it, but there's no gate in the Elven base. You can always just walk in, and there is no way of getting a gate or anything like that. By the way, it's just the way it is. From here, I'm going for the final push of the game. It's just the last AI still standing. I'm just sending everything in and then destroying them.
Our homes must be defended. Be watchful for the enemy.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the idea of how you deal with 7 hard units. It's just you just gotta turtle in, try to survive their initial push, gather power points, and then once you have enough power points and like you didn't lose your base too much, you can just start using those power points to push out the enemy and start to deal with them one by one, and then go from there. It's pretty much like the idea behind it. I mean, it's a little bit easier said than done, but like I had to do it a few tries to actually be able to survive the first few rounds, but once you get the hold of it, it's pretty fun. And that was that. I hope you guys appreciate it. Again, if you enjoyed this kind of content, please let me know. Consider liking and subscribing as well. If you have any suggestions or anything different that you'd like me to see, or any sort of different commentary, if you'd like me to approach different topics or analyze different things as I'm playing the game, please let me know. Other than that, have a great day and see you around.